Ding dong YouTube, welcome back to the channel, The Jobless Coder here, and I'm going to tell you about something that's going to be fairly controversial. I know a lot of people are not going to agree with me upon this. I know a lot of people do not already agree with me upon this. They tell me that my opinion is invalid, that I don't have the right to my belief because I'm somehow wrong. More specifically, I'm referring to the belief that the value of your work is dictated by the clothes that you wear to work. Now, some of you are probably going to say, yeah, but Evan, you have to consider the other people that are there in office working with you. Now, I'm referring more specifically to the white-collar jobs rather than the blue-collar jobs, where you're in an office cubicle or you're doing some high-paying profession that you're sort of expected to just wear nice, fancy clothes to work. And these people, they say to me that you need to consider the other people in the office. And I agree with that to a certain extent. You're there in the office for 8 hours, maybe 9 or more hours every single day. And so if you're showing up and you haven't bathed or you haven't showered in 3 or 4 days and you're dressed like a hobo and you haven't shaved in a month, then yeah, I can see why people would complain about the way that you look or the way that you smell or the way that you dress. And that, I believe, is fair and valid. But if you're showing up to work and you are shaved and you are washed and showered and you're just wearing casual run-of-the-mill clothes that maybe aren't button up, maybe they're not dress pants or dress fancy shoes, and people complain because you're wearing shorts or you're wearing t-shirt in the middle of the blazing heat in the middle of the summer, or maybe your hair, for example, is dyed bright neon purple and they're complaining about the way that you look, that is what you call judgmental assholes. And they don't, frankly, deserve the quality of the work that you produce because they judge your work based on the way that you look. For all I care, you could be sitting there in the office in your freaking underwear, and that should not affect the way that you do your job. And the computer doesn't even know what I look like. It doesn't care. It just doesn't matter. Now, there may actually be certain circumstances, certain situations where I actually do agree that a certain dress code is to be adhered to. Now, when I got my very first job, I was working in a grocery store in a small town, and the dress code was very explicit. You could wear blue jeans on Friday, and the rest of the week you were wearing nice black dress pants and the work shirt that they provided that had the company logo on the shirt, and you were in black dress shoes. Now, I understand this because you're in the store, you're dealing with people publicly. They need to know who is an employee of the store. And so things like name tags and things like these special button-up shirts that have the company logo on it expresses to the customers that, hey, I actually work here. But when I am programming a computer for a job that I'm just sitting in an office cubicle all day long, then I don't think it matters because you're not dealing with the public. Anybody who sees your problem, say you make a video game or whatever, now your name is going to be in the credits. They're not going to see a picture of you. They're not going to know what you look like. And if there's a photo shoot maybe for the office, then yeah, it's a bit different. But the run-of-the-mill day-to-day work, I don't think it matters how you look in the office. And I program computers for a living. I sit there and I type out lines of code. I am not being paid to be a high-paid actor where I have to adhere to a specific dress code for the explicit purpose of whatever film they're filming. I am not a fashion model where the clothes that I wear are actually going to be photographed and put in some magazine. Nobody is going to know what I wear to work when I go into that office other than the other members of that office. And if they choose to judge you on that, then I don't think they deserve your respect. I'm going to tell you a personal story so you know exactly what I'm referring to. When I got my job back in May and I moved out to Vancouver for this job, initially I was actually working in the office in downtown Vancouver. And I was there Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and Tuesdays and Thursdays everybody else was working from home, and so I was working from home as well. Now, we would Skype communicate, so there wasn't a problem with that. And then Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we would have the in-office meetings. And to be fair, I'll give you a little bit of context. This office was actually downtown on West Hastings. And for anybody who doesn't know, anybody who's not aware, West Hastings is the upper-up, high-end district of Vancouver. This is Millionaire Alley. This is where the millionaires of the city live, is in that main West End part of Vancouver. East End is where all the homeless people are. And so Yeah, I was in a shared office space. We were on the 23rd floor and we had one office in this building. All the other offices were rented out by all the other companies that were working out of that specific building. And a lot of the people in there were very high paid professionals that, like I said, they wear ties to work, they wear button-up shirts to work, they're in very fancy, they may have a $3,000 suit. Good for them. I don't care that they wear a $3,000 suit. I mean, if they're doing their job, who cares? And so the problem is that I was showing up to work. There was no explicit dress code from my boss. My boss never actually told me. He never once told me that you have to wear a fancy dress shirt and a collar, you have to be in fancy shoes and pants. That was never expressed to me in any way. And anytime that I wore casual clothes like this, for example, to work, he never complained either. And so there was no justification on his part for what he eventually did, which was kicking me out of the office. Now, the problem is that everybody else in this office apparently took notice and they took issues with that. And so, for example, I would wear shorts and a t-shirt to work because it's the middle of the summer and it's blazing freaking hot. So yeah, I'm not going to wear nice black dress pants in the middle of 35 and 40 degree plus weather. It just doesn't make any logical sense. But about mid-July, enough people in this office space actually had phoned the building manager to specifically complain about me. And now there was a bunch of things that they had complained about, and my boss wanted to document this, and he sent it out in an email. And there's a huge list of things that they complained about, and I can show you this email at some point, maybe in a future video, on everything that they paid attention to. But the one thing that I want to deal with specifically, at least now, is the fact that I was wearing shorts and a t-shirt to work. And yes, I did sometimes wear nice clothes that were dress clothes, but I'm going to tell you right now that I have a mental illness. It is OCD. It means I do a lot of washing. It means I do a lot of cleaning. That's why I wear rubber gloves like this. And because of that, because of the cleaning that I do, I use these green Clorox bottles that contain bleach. You see them in the store and it says this product contains bleach. And I clean everything with that. Surfaces and walls and floors and everything with that product. And what happens is it gets on your clothes. And when bleach gets on your clothes, I'll show you here. It may be very hard to see. You can see the stains on the clothes that are actually pink in color. Contrary to popular belief, bleach doesn't make your clothes white unless you entirely bleach it. If you get bleach on your clothes, especially black clothes like this, chances are they're going to turn a pink color. There are certain clothes, however, that are different based on the pigment. They may actually turn white. And so because I have stains like this on the clothes, I was actually misinterpreted several times by building security who thought I was some contract construction worker there to do some cleaning job or whatever. And I was like, no, I actually work in the office here. Here's the keys. I can prove to you that this is my office. And they were convinced that I had somehow broken in. And I was like, no, I'm here. I'm a software developer. I'm not just some contractor. And because I have stains on my clothes. Now, my parents have told me before, oh, well, why do you put bleach in with your laundry? I say, no, you don't seem to understand. It has nothing to do with putting bleach into my laundry. It's the fact that I'm wearing clothes when I do the cleaning. And so there's enough bleach in the air or enough splatter that it gets on the clothes. And then they say, oh, maybe you should wear specific clothes only for the cleaning than the clothes that you wear outside the house. Yeah, but then the clothes get washed together and then the bleach gets mixed in with the water and then all the clothes eventually end up with a little bit of bleach on them. And over time, it eventually builds up and you get more and more and more stains on your clothes. And so I don't bother buying really nice clothes because I know that I'm going to wear them out and I'm going to ruin them fairly quickly. And so I'm not going to go and buy a $3,000 suit to go downtown and work in a very high-end building. But the idea that these other people can expect that of you because they go and buy a $3,000 suit. If you wear a $3,000 suit to work, good for you. Your life is perfect. I don't care. Yeah, congratulations, your life is perfect. But I'm not going to wear that suit if I know, I'm not going to buy that suit if I know that I'm going to destroy it. And so to have that expectation imposed upon me that I need to go and buy a bunch of fancy clothes to work in a fancy office because I have a huge paycheck, that's none of your business. That's none of your damn business what I wear to work. It just matters, am I actually doing my work? Am I doing the job that I am asked and paid to do? And just so you know, the people that were making the complaints were not even from my same company. Like I said, it was a shared office space. We had one office in a big building on the 23rd floor, and all the other offices have a ton of different people with a ton of different companies. And in my specific office, there was 3 people. Myself, my boss, and one other guy who did the software testing. And that was it. And they never came and confronted me directly about the clothes that I was wearing. And so everybody else didn't even have a say in anything to do with my company, other than the fact that they may have seen me for all of 3 seconds in the elevator on their way into work, and yet that was enough for them to complain. And you have to consider, these are busy people. They have huge schedules. They have a list of things they need to do, business calls and conferences, and yet it was so egregious of the way I looked that they still found time somehow in their busy schedule to make a phone call with the building manager to file a complaint against me. And after enough controversy, the building manager actually contacted my boss one day in work in mid-July. I was there when my boss got the phone call. He went out of the office, talked with them, and then he came back in and pulled me aside, and he basically took my key away from me. He told me that I was no longer going to be in the office because he was fearing that he would be at risk to lose the office if these people kept complaining about me. And that's not fair either to him. He was paying for the office space, and so for the building manager to threaten him with eviction because of the way that one of his employees dressed, that's not fair. And yet, I'm pretty sure that if enough people kept complaining about me, if my boss didn't do anything to resolve the situation, then he may have very well been evicted. And I don't think that's very fair on him, for him either. So as it goes, I was forced against my will to now work from home every single day. It wasn't just Tuesdays and Thursdays. It was every single day that I would be working from home. And that is how I ended up here now working from home, because I was kicked out of the office. And as I said at the beginning of the video, I know there's a lot of people that are going to tell me that I'm wrong, that I should have just conformed to whatever they wanted, that I should have known better, that I should have worn nice fancy dress clothes. But I'm making this video because my intent is to find one person. If I can find just one person out there who actually agrees with me on some of the points, maybe not even all of my points, but at least says, hey, you know, he actually has a good point on a few of these things. Consider this, for example. Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple frickin' Computers, is a huge rebel, or was a huge rebel, and a maverick against the bigger companies like IBM that have this stuck-up, prudy office culture. And I don't understand. This seems very archaic to me that the idea of a man having to wear nice fancy dress clothes and the woman has to wear high heels and a skirt and a very nice blouse to work. That idea is like 150 years old. It's archaic and it's outdated and it's no longer relevant. And Steve Jobs, if he was still alive, would agree with me upon this, because this is the stuff that he pushed against for years. This is why he didn't like that stuck-up, prudy office culture of the people that wear business suits and act like they rule the world because they spent all this money on fancy business suits. And, you know, this is somebody who wore blue jeans and a turtleneck to work, and he changed the frickin' world. So don't sit there and tell me that the quality of my work is dictated by the clothes that I wear. And for further context, I'll have you know that I actually spent 6 years in the Air Cadet program. I got my gliders and my power pilot's license, and part of that process included an interview. It would have been essentially like a job interview, but they called it a board interview, and part of that interview contained an inspection of your uniform. Your uniform had to be perfect to a T. My boots had to be shined perfectly. There had to be 0 lint on my uniform. It had to be ironed perfectly. And I agreed to this because that was the culture of the Air Cadets, the culture of the military. And I understand that there's a purpose and a reason for that, and I agree. I do not agree with the belief that to work a high-end paying job, you need to dress a specific way. And if you don't believe what I'm saying, I'll switch over to my desktop here and I'll show you something that popped up in my feed right today, actually. And so I am on the Road Trip Nation Facebook page at the moment, and you can see this was posted just 14 hours ago, and I was already planning on doing this video today, so what a perfect coincidence. You can see here, it says, career myth. I have to get a conservative haircut and buy fancy clothes once I get a quote-unquote real job. These are the white-collar jobs I'm talking about. Blue-collar work, nobody really cares, as long as you're in safety equipment, especially if you're on like a construction site. They don't want you getting hurt. There's a purpose for the clothes that you wear. Career truth, however, the person making this graphic right now is wearing a sweatshirt with holes in it. Every workplace is different. And then it says here, sign our petition to make athleisure acceptable work attire. And they don't have any link to a petition, so I don't think it's an actual thing, other than maybe leaving a comment below. But if you agree with the things that I'm saying, if you agree with the fact that you don't or you shouldn't have to wear these fancy clothes to do your job, if you think that it's about time for change, that this archaic 150-year-old concept that you have to look pristine to do a professional job, you don't have to look professional to be a professional. And if you agree with that, then maybe I'll send you over here to Road Trip Nation and you can leave a comment telling them exactly what your opinion is. And if you don't know, for example, I'll tell you what Road Trip Nation is. It's basically, they get a bunch of people in this RV every once in a while. They go around and they talk to business employees and they talk to CEOs of companies. And it's essentially so that these people that are in university, maybe they're thinking about going to university, or maybe they just graduated university, can have an idea of where their life may go. And so it's a really cool show. It's very neat idea and concept, at least. It says here, been going since 1985. And they post a lot of stuff about job-related content. So I think it was amusing that this just happened to match with the video topic that I was having today. And like I said, if you agree with me, then maybe leave some comments below. Otherwise, I'm sorry. Everybody has their own opinion, and I realize that. And you're entitled to your opinion, but if your opinion gets me kicked out of the office, if your opinion loses my job, if your opinion does anything in any way, shape, or form to affect my life, then how is that any different than walking up and punching me in the face? It really isn't, because the rights to your fist end where the rights to my nose begin, and you complaining about the way that I dress, which actually affects my job because I may be kicked out of the office or fired, that is where the rights of my nose begin, and you have now transgressed against me. So thank you for that, and for everyone else, thank you for watching the video. Bye.